Hi, everybody. We're going to talk about borderline personality disorder and the spectrum that it's on. Really important to understand. We talk about different types. I've made videos about that, the 4 different types of borderline. But I think it's really important, and I don't ever see it anywhere talked about, to understand the spectrum that borderline is on. And it can be very confusing as you listen to other people's stories about someone you know with borderline or knew, and you kind of compare and you're like, that doesn't sound like the one I knew. That sounds a hell of a lot different. That sounds a lot worse. Doesn't sound as bad. Is this the right disorder? Is it something else? Spectrum means a lot. So, and today I'm going to talk about from low to high spectrum. Some of the lowest spectrum borderlines, maybe not diagnosed, to the higher spectrum borderlines, mid to high. Some of the ones that you guys know because you're not here watching my videos typically because you have someone in your life or had someone in your life years ago that was maybe hypersensitive, more emotional, things like this, and emotional outbursts. You're watching because they abused you, because they drained you, because they sabotaged you, because they betrayed you, traumatized you. So when I help clients and they tell me about some of the bad stories about people that have this disorder, they always ask me, David, is this the worst you've ever heard? And obviously most of us say no, but I hope this helps, guys. So one thing to keep in mind, to note, is functioning. And as we understand, people with disorders, there's spectrum, there's also functioning, and they don't always align together. So it's not necessarily the lower spectrum they are, is definitely higher functioning, and as we get higher spectrum, that they're lower functioning. Not necessarily. Some of the highest spectrum borderlines have been some of the most functioning, keeping big time important stressful careers for years, decades. And then some of the lower spectrum borderlines have been some of the least functioning. Okay, so it's not necessarily aligns like that, but it's something very important to note, to understand that just because someone's functioning doesn't mean that they're healthy. It's performance. All right. So let's start with the lower spectrum. People with borderline personality disorder that are lower on the spectrum, they can be vulnerable. They can show you who they are. They might be higher functioning. They are the wounded child. This is something that wounded them in childhood. They have emotional storms, but they're remorseful afterwards. I'm sorry, genuine apologies. Still capable of love and empathy. Love, because not everyone is, and certainly not every borderline is. So they're still capable of love. It means they love themselves. It means that they give themselves what they need and protect themselves and love themselves, and they have empathy for you. They cry, they apologize, they seek therapy, and they fear losing you. I hate myself for hurting you. Something very common you might hear from a borderline that's lower on the spectrum. Have you guys ever heard someone say that with borderline? Is the borderline that you know like this? Maybe less likely, like I said, watching this video, but have you heard them say that? I hate myself for hurting you. They acknowledge that they cause problems and stress, and they've hurt you, and they're remorseful, and it hurts them, and they want to change, and they might even try. Probably pretty rare. These are the ones trying. These are the ones where their disorder might actually go into remission forever. Especially if they're younger. They start that early. So as we get into the mid-spectrum, we know a lot of the behaviors. We already know. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they beat you, or they abuse you, they cheat, and they lie. All mid-spectrums do different stuff, right? They might start getting to be lower functioning, more dependent on you. Splitting daily. Idealize, devalue. Idealize, devalue. Splitting just about every day on something, someone, you. They're more helpless, less self-reliance, more dependent on you. So they might be using you more, they might be extracting money, they might not be working, they might be less functioning and having you take care of them and pay for stuff that you guys do all the time. Maybe when it comes to gifts, you give them gifts, they don't really give you gifts. Sound familiar? Blames you for their pain, right? It's all your fault, but can't let go of you, ever. Gaslighting, guilt tripping, silent treatments, fear of abandonment, hoovers, apologize, repeat cycle. See that? It's like really, really focus on emotional regulation and fears of abandonment, fear of losing you. Just don't want to lose you. I'm more dependent on you. I need you. Don't want to be by myself. Know myself less. Do you see that? And they fear losing you, and they might even take off and silent trip you, kind of like avoidant types. And they come back, they want you back desperately, and they apologize, and then it just starts over again, over and over and over again. This would be most guys. I would guess this would be most of you guys watching would be this. Not you, but people that you know in your life that you're watching this video for, to decide where was the person I knew that had borderline, where on the spectrum were they. Probably that mid to high. As we get into the higher spectrum, the highest, the malignant borderline. Malignant. Think of malignant. How else do you know that word? It's killing you. The stress will kill you. More psychological damaging. Not vulnerable. The mids are less vulnerable. The highs, not vulnerable. Narcissistic. No remorse. Plays victim while abusing you. Plays the victim. Totally more psychological. Can smear, stalk, or sabotage you. They will use empathy only as a weapon, exploiting your needs. Not just being neglectful, but actually exploiting them. Your need for security might triangulate, make you jealous, insecure, all these things on purpose, humiliate you. Will be way more controlling. Way more controlling. You can't do this, you can do that, you have to do this. Maybe accuse you of stuff and control your emotions. Maybe talk about you around people that you know. This becomes extreme damage. They could be more violent, more aggressive. This is where they start having more problems, more disorders. They could have anxiety disorders, depression disorders, eating disorders, especially if they're young. They could have delusional disorders. They could have dissociative disorders, or dissociate quite a bit. Things like this. They will bleed you to death. Whether it's draining all your resources, your money, getting rid of all the people in your life, things like this. Now, we get into BPD and NPD, co-occurrence, comorbidity. 40% of people diagnosed with borderline personality disorder are also diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. These people are never vulnerable because the borderline's narcissism is defense mechanism. And when they have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, they will make damn sure that you will never hurt them, ever. They promise that to themselves, and they will use you, they will abuse you, they will depend on you, rely on you, need you, do everything to you, but they will never let you hurt them. Never vulnerable. Never tell you the truth. Never tell you what's going on. Never, just almost pure pathology. Pure pathology. No self at all. Never sit in a moment with you. It's never great and, oh yeah, and I just want to know all about you. No. If I am helping you or I do something for you, oh, it's transactional, and boy, you're going to owe me. I'm manipulative. I'm doing everything on purpose and reason. Way more damaging psychologically. 2 times personality disorder means just worse, more unstable, higher in traits, all of it. Higher spectrum. The most controlling. The narcissism, the defense mechanism is also the most controlling. If you have you think sometimes the sweet little borderline sitting at home doesn't do much, but always just controlling, and you can't do this, and you got to marry me, and you can't talk to this person, I want to have children right now, and if you don't, somebody else is going to marry me. Yeah, borderline narcissist. Out of control for themselves. You may not see it. It may take a long time, but it's inner. They feel like they have no control of themselves or their environment, believing that they should. The entitlement, the grandiosity, and they will control you like no other, which is higher in psychopathy. They will take you for everything. Always smears. They're smearing when they know you, and they smear when they lost you or got rid of you. High in revenge, rage, cold when you don't mirror them. Nasty. How many of you know someone with this? I have. I've known a man with this, and I've known a woman with this, and both of them are absolutely disgusting. Some of the most dangerous, violent, aggressive, disgusting, unstable, narcissistic, entitled, grandiose people in the world. The second you stop giving them attention and mirroring them, you're in danger. Is yours the worst? Pain doesn't compete, but there is a spectrum. And the higher the spectrum, the less chance of remission or change. And the higher chance of damage, abuse, and betrayal. Psychological damage. Damaging to yourself and who you are. Anybody in a relationship with anybody like this, at least step outside of it, tell someone and ask for some help, okay? Please. And if you had anybody like this, you probably need to heal and you probably need to talk to someone. Ask me questions. Please share your own examples, okay? Thanks for the thumbs up, subscribing to the channel. If you want coaching, daviddemars.com. Love yourself first. Bye-bye.